Hi guys, Rough Life here with another episode of Euro Truck Simulator 2. If you're joining me, which I guess you are if you're hearing this, you'll be sitting right there. And we're going to take this Ep2. Not my favorite truck, but it was okay to... I was a little surprised at how I was able to adjust the seat and camera and that kind of stuff. It might actually make for quite a more pleasant ride than last time because I bothered to do that. So just sit tight and I'll do my regular routine of turning on lights and hazard lights and starting up the engine to see, is everything okay outside, doing all the lights work, check oil pressure, tires, and all of that kind of stuff. Which I've got to say that would be quite awesome if actually you took that round and tested, and or if you didn't, that there would actually be a flat tire or turn signal not working, or better yet, I'm going to do the mandatory brake test now, that the brakes wouldn't work. So what if you kind of started driving and it didn't do all those tests, and you just started driving and you come to your first intersection and oh my god, your brakes don't work. So that would be a cool challenge to just have that, and then before you go you can safety check everything and fix it before you go. So I'm going to turn my route advisor off, I don't like it. So what would you do if your if your brakes didn't work? Let's suppose I drove all this time up here and my brakes didn't work, and at this point as I'm approaching the intersection is when I realized, well, what you can do is you pull the parking brake, because even if your brake system doesn't work and you're all the way out of air and whatnot, then your parking brake is going to work. I'll just move the mouse so that it doesn't do that with the camera anymore. Because the brake system on a truck works like this. That the regular brakes, you need air pressure to apply the brakes. Without any air pressure, the regular brakes will just not activate, and you might end up kind of pushing the pedal to the bottom and there is no reaction. The parking brake works the other way around. It works also like a safety brake. So if there's no air pressure available, you simply will not be able to pull the parking brake off. Let's see. That means you can also use it while driving. If things don't work, you can just pull your parking brake. And it's truckers who don't know this, and then something's off and wrong and they panic and they don't know what to do. That's where you have some really nasty stories of trucks driving into this and that. But you, knowing this, can avoid doing it in real life if you ever drive a truck for real. It would be fun to have that challenge in the Truck Simulator 2. Anywho, you might be hearing some clicking and that kind of stuff. That's my switches and buttons from what is a homemade SKRS shifter type of controls. I thought I got the stick shift with my Logitech steering wheel, and I looked at the SKRS edition, and it looks cool and it looks right, and that would be awesome. But I thought it was just a little pricey, and I'm kinda on a budget anyhow, so I didn't go for that. But I took an old joystick, took it apart, had a little bit of help from my son, and put it together with some switches and buttons on a wooden board that I've attached right next to my stick shift, so that while my hand rests on the gear, then I have them within range anyhow. and it feels pretty similar to the stick shift in a real truck. Of course, you should not be embarrassed if you drive an automatic, because that is there's a lot of automatics for real, at least in Europe, I've understood. When I was driving, then there was still, I think, a majority of stick shifts. The automatics were kind of coming in and becoming much more popular, and by now I think that is really the main rule rather than the exception. I've understood it's otherwise in the States, which is otherwise kind of automatic oriented, while the trucks have stick shifts. Of course, with electric cars and electric trucks, that should all go to automatic soon anyhow. One thing I'd like to know about this truck that I'm driving is, does it have a retarder? I haven't checked that yet. Nope, no retarder. Some glitches in the game there. I like retarders. I have my brake intensity on its lowest setting, along with the trailer stability, and because that just feels quite right. It does take about that long for a truck to stop, and you do have to take care and plan your driving. And if you're surprised at, you know, a little bit too much speed in a really steep downhill, you will barely be able to reduce your speed if you don't have quite a powerful engine brake or a retarder. I've tried that. I got surprised by some hills in Germany. Driving on Autobahn, you don't necessarily think about it, and then suddenly we was in a 9-degree steep downhill, and the trucking company I drove for were kind of cheapish, so they hadn't invested in retarders, and I only had one step on my engine brake, and I had to really work those gears to get down in speed. That was kind of hairy, particularly when I realized that at the bottom of the hill there was a traffic jam standing still, and I was still doing like 60 and barely getting it to brake. Actually, I don't know to what extent, but I had smoke coming from my trailer wheels, indicating that they were at least starting to catch fire. So once we were done with all this, the police down at the road kind of made sure that I had some space to pass so that I could continue driving. Not fast, but I had to keep the truck and trailer in motion so as to air cool the brakes, because there would be no other way of stopping that. That was hairy. What is that? I was just gonna switch lanes. There we go. Although the big question is, do I have time? No, I don't think so. There's a toll booth coming up. So yeah, so the retarder is really a worthwhile investment. I would have wanted that. I found that when passing these toll booths, it's kind of good to stick to the right, because cars and trucks seem to yield to the right in this case. Don't know if they necessarily would for real. It's a little counterintuitive, since the left lane, you know, would be the one that you are gonna have the right in to step on it and speed, but they seem to be quite polite and wait for you when you're on the right. So that works, whatever works. So yeah, so retarders are good. Also, the cruise control is was really a trucker's friend, to kind of not have to sit and stare at the speedometer all the time. So I use the cruise control actively. I tried a Scania that had retarder. I didn't drive much with a retarder, but this one Scania did, and it had a separate button for sort of a retarder cruise control that you could kind of use together with a regular cruise control, and the interaction between the two is very similar to what you get in this game with the smart cruise control activated. And go ahead and set it to like the 5 kilometer sort of tolerance, or whatever they call it, and then you can use your increase and decrease speed buttons to kind of simulate operating the retarder cruise control and regular cruise control in parallel. Because it actually works like that. Don't know if I mentioned yet, but also the engine brake is applied, at least in Volvo and Scania that I have experience with. It's applied on the on the brake pedal. It's applied with the brake pedal. So go ahead and take off the automatic engine brake. I think you would have to have an older truck, or there were some buses I drove that had a separate foot button kind of for the left foot, that when you take it off the clutch you can push the engine brake kind of separately, but that was an older bus. Newer ones also would have it on the brake pedal. So automatic engine brake is a good thing and very realistic. It might be different over in the American Truck Simulator. I don't have any experience with American trucks, but I've set my engine brake, then I've got a toggle. I've got one of my knobs and switches on the engine brake, because they've got that easy Jake thing on some of their trucks. So apparently it's not applied with the brake pedal the same way. Waiting. There is some of that in trucking. You wait in traffic jam, you wait for a turn on the ferry. And it doesn't help how stressed you are. You can only go so fast. So it's kind of a patience tester. You're gonna develop some capacity for stress. Hopefully, otherwise you might crumble, because it can be stressful. You got all these delivery times that you have to. Oh, that was a little unexpected. You've got your delivery times that you have to watch out for. You won't make much money if you're just goofing off. And you definitely don't make money sitting and staring at a red light. But it just doesn't help. You kind of just have to learn to relax. And that's I guess why this game is getting kind of reviews for being Zen gaming. Kind of, you can. Right now, there's nothing you can do. There's nobody you can shoot. There's no action. You just sit here and wait. Right, now we're seeing the downside of using... Oops, forgot a button. Now we're seeing the downside of using the traffic mod. I have no idea how bad this is going to be on the recording, but my screen is lagging a whole lot. And it's a compromise I'm willing to do because generally the traffic mod just adds a lot of liveliness to the roads and much more realism. I felt kind of lonely otherwise on the roads, you know. It's just nice that there's other cars and sudden traffic jams and occasional accident that you have to watch out for. But it does kill the FPS, and I've got my graphic card pushed to the max running these 3 screens. I have no more capacity for visual beauty or any of that, but that's a compromise I'm willing to live with. Hopefully it's still remotely so that you can view it on the recording too. Yeah, so we're almost done for today. I might skip a few of my drives and not necessarily publish everything. I'll kind of stick to when I feel like there's something to communicate. We've covered some of the topics of realism today. Go ahead and post questions or comments, and can have some dialogue in the comment field. I would love that. And if there's particular challenges, things you're interested in, areas to discover, I'll be happy to test and look at. Meanwhile, I'll try to get this trailer parked as the final effort of this session. So, hey buddy, where do you want it parked? Right there. Right there. Let's see if it's this way. I better put on the route advisor. I usually keep that off, and additionally prefer this find your trailer mod. The extra version means you have to kind of spend some efforts parking too. This seems to be the right way. I want it to be straight. Just a little bit of honor in there. That should be good enough. Alright, so that should be it for now, and hope to see you next time, and hope that you're getting something out of this, and just feel free to post comments and questions, and catch you next time. Bye bye.